Picture this. It's Friday night, you're tired after a long work week. You don't feel like cooking, so you open up Uber Eats, order your favorite fat thai, and in 30 minutes, it's at your door. The food's great, it feels well deserved, and honestly, it's only 30 bucks. Now, fast forward, you do this 2 or 3 times a week. You've got Netflix on autopay, Spotify is running, a couple of other subscriptions you barely remember signing up for. You grab a daily coffee on the way to work, and sometimes when it's raining, you hop in an Uber instead of walking and taking transit. None of them feels outrageous. It's just normal life. But here's a big question. Could this very culture and convenience, the one that makes your life smoother, easier, and more fun, be the exact reason so many young Canadian feels like home ownership is slipping further and further out of reach, even though they're making good money? We live in what is called a frictionless economy. Almost everything is designed to take effort out of the equation. One click ordering on Amazon, tap to pay with your phone, streaming anything you want on demand, ordering food with zero human interaction. And for younger generation like millennials and Gen Z, it isn't luxury. It's kind of like the baseline. It's how life works, and there's a hidden cost because every single one of these little convenience quietly drains money that could otherwise be growing in a down payment. Let's put this into perspective. According to Stats Canada, the average Canadian household spent about $3,351 in 2023 just on food purchases from restaurants and delivery apps. That's not groceries. That's strictly eating out or ordering in. On top of that, subscriptions really added up. Survey shows Canadian households spend roughly $150 to $250 a month on digital services like streaming, music app, cloud storage. That's about $3,000 a year, often paid without even noticing because it's all on autopay. Transportation is another big one. If you're leaning on Uber or ride sharing instead of public transit or owning a modest vehicle, costs can balloon from $6,000 to $10,000 a year. Now, compare that to what it actually takes to buy a home. In Canada, the minimum down payment is 5% for the first half a million dollars for a house, plus 10% on anything above that. So realistically, if you're a first-time buyer, you need about $35,000 to 50,000 saved just to get into the market. So here's the math. If someone just saves $500 a month from convenience spending, a couple of deliveries, a few Uber rides, some unsubscriptions, unused subscriptions, that's $6,000 a year. Over 5 years, that's 30 grand just saved. That's basically a condo down payment in many Canadian cities. The problem is because spending feels very small and normal, that money slips away through our fingers instead of building towards a home. And here's where it gets deeper. This isn't just a financial issue, it's a psychological one. There's something called as present bias. Humans naturally value small, immediate reward over a larger long term goal. Uber Eats in 30 minutes feels way more satisfying than saving for a house that you might buy in 10 years or 5 years. Add in the design with the modern apps, tap your phone, double click to buy, Face ID to approve, and spending just feels effortless. Meanwhile, saving for a house feels like a mountain, a multi year climb that requires patience and discipline. And that's why so many young Canadians feel like depressed, even though when they're making good money, but yet they're not saving any. So, what does this look like in real world? The average age of a first-time home buyer in Canada has climbed to around 36 years old compared to previous generation who often bought it in their late 20s. At the same time, the debt loads are heavier. Now, if you looked at the recent Equifax report, The average consumer in Canada now carries about $21,859 in non-mortgage debt, and for those under 36, it's about 14,300. And then there's buy now, pay later, and oh my God, I just hate these services. They are so common, and they have exploded in popularity that it's very hard to miss. But studies have shown that nearly 1 in 5 young Canadians are already falling behind on these payments. So while incomes might be higher than past generations, lifestyle inflation powered by convenience spending means savings are flat. The result is delayed homeownership and more debt. So, what's the way forward? Now, here's the good news: convenience culture doesn't have to be the enemy, it just needs boundaries. So, start by tracking where your money goes from 1 month for a month, like Uber rides, takeout, subscriptions. Put it all on paper. Most people will be shocked by the total. Give you an example. My wife recently told me that I spent a lot of money at McDonald's, like, and it was about $500 for a month. Like, yes, that sounds insane, but even I didn't knew how it was happening. So I'll tell you my example. What I would do is going around while doing showings and stuff, I would go to McDonald's just to grab a coffee. And, a buck of coffee is not going to do much. Even if I buy a coffee every day for 365 days, it's not going to make any difference when it comes to saving for a house. But here's the problem: every time I went to buy a coffee, I would smell the fries, and then soon I would look at the time and say, "Oh, it's almost lunchtime, and I haven't had lunch." So that $1 or $2 iced coffee suddenly became a 15, $16 meal. And now when I looked at it, when I spent $500, it kind of like makes sense because you go in to spend a dollar or two, and I'm not saying don't do that, but when you go there, you end up spending more than a dollar or two. And in my case, it was an average 15 to 20 bucks every time. So that's how all these bills creep up. Another reason I like to say is that you should automate your savings. If you set aside 500 a month into a house fund before spending starts, you won't feel the loss the same way, and in 5 years you have $30,000. Now, you should follow something called as a 50-30-20 rule, or you know whatever helps you, but that's the generalization. So 50% of your income goes to your needs, 30% for you know your wants, and 20% to your savings. So many Canadians, what they're doing is 50% is wants, and 10% is saving, and the rest is like going towards what their needs are, without realizing. And always think of the opportunity cost. That $300 monthly Uber habit isn't just right; it's $18,000 over 5 years. That's half your down payment. So the next time you go to hit buy now and open your food delivery app, ask yourself, is this $20 bringing me closer to my first home or pushing it further away? Convenience isn't an evil. Like, let's make it clear. It makes life easier. But if you want to own a house in Canada, you've got to be intentional about it, because the system is designed to make you spend, not save. If this video helps you put things into perspective, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with a friend who keeps saying, I make good money, but I can't save.